Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to talk about how we can create an MSK cluster and connect it to an EC2 instance. So first off, I'm going to start off with creating my own EC2 instance, and I'm going to be using Mumbai for all the resources. So immediately let's go and launch. So I'm just going to give it a name, EC2 instance, Kafka, because we are going to be creating an MSK cluster, and I'm going to go with the default options here so that I get my free tier, and I'm not going to select a key pair because I already have one, and I'm going to allow traffic from public, and oops, I missed to select yes. Okay, so I'm just going to select the one which I already have, but okay, yeah, got it. And now with that, I'm free to launch my instance, and okay, it's done. Okay, so now let's go to our instance. Okay, so our instance state is still pending, it's not yet created. So okay, all right, so let us do one thing. Let us just quickly cross check our security group to make sure that it allows anywhere traffic from for inbound and outbound, so that we don't run into any issues. Okay, so I'm just going to delete some rules, the inbound traffic, and add a new all traffic rule that allows traffic from anywhere. Okay, that should be good, and it's done. All right, so now let's close this quickly and go to, okay, outbound is fine, and I'm gonna close this. Okay, it's up and running, and I'm going to copy the public address. So I'm going to connect to my EC2 using SSH, and the command is really simple. I'm gonna leave it down in the description as well, and I'm going to mention my keypad file. If you are using your keypad for the first time, you might have to change your permissions. You just have to change your mode to 600, and everything should work fine, just as it is for me. And that's it, we are inside our EC2. Okay, so now I'm gonna start out by installing Java first. So we need a couple of things. Java is what runs our Kafka, so we have to install Java before we install Kafka. And to install Kafka, I'm just gonna go to the Kafka's homepage, click on download Kafka, click on the version I want. In this case, it's 3.3.2, and I'm gonna copy the link, and I'm going to use a wget command to download Kafka directly onto our EC2 instance. So we're just gonna wait till this is over, and should be over any time now. Yeah, it's done. So we can use our wget, and we can paste the link that we copied to download our Kafka directly onto our EC2, and this shouldn't take a while. Okay, that's done as well. Now we have to extract our Kafka that we downloaded. So I'm going to use the tar xfvz command, and I'm just going to paste the tar file, and there you go, it's being extracted. And again, I'm going to check the installation. I'm going to go into my Kafka directory. So every time I say Kafka directory, this is the directory that I'm talking about. And here we have to connect our MSK instance using IAM authentication method. In order to do that, we have to change a certain configuration. So we're going to do that now. So first I'm going to create a file called client.properties inside the config folder, and I'm going to add a few lines so that we will be able to configure IAM authentication correctly. In order to do that, I'm going to take help of Amazon's documentation. So we go to this page. I'm going to be linking this in the description, and we are just going to simply copy the configuration mechanisms, and we are just going to paste it in our configuration file. So we don't have to create the trust store unless you explicitly want to do that. So as you can see here, we are making use of few modules called IAM login module and IAM client callback handler. So these things are not by default present in our system. So we have to download the jar file that contains these modules. So in order to do that, there is a different link that is provided by AWS. I'm going to be linking this in the description as well. And once again, we are going to go back to our EC2 and download the jar file directly onto our home directory using wget. And once this is done, we are going to add this particular jar to our class path. To do so, we simply get the location, and we export the environment variable class path, and we are going to specify the jar file which we just downloaded, And with that, every time Kafka tries to use the configuration, this jar file is present in the class path, and we would not be facing any errors when trying to access those login modules and IAM callback modules. Okay, so that's it for now. I'm just going to quickly check if my directory is up. Okay, all right, so this is a Kafka directory. I'm going to go back to my Kafka directory. Okay, so now in order to connect our MSK cluster using IAM, we actually need to create an IAM policy and attach the same to an IAM role. So in order to do that, I am going to go down again in this documentation, and I'm going to copy this IAM role, and I'm going to create a new policy with this, and I'm going to attach it to a role. Okay, so now we have to attach a role to our EC2 instance. So I'm going to open IAM. And on the left side, I'm going to click on policies, and first we have to create a policy, and only then we can add it to a role, and we have to attach that role to our EC2 instance. So I'm going to click on create policy here, and that's not right. Yeah, that's right. And I'm going to click on JSON, and I'm going to paste the JSON that I copied. So in this, as you can see, they have mentioned a specific resource. I don't want that. I'm just going to use a wildcard asterisk. And this is not necessarily wrong, because this is just for demo purposes. In this case, if you want to specify a particular ARN for MSK, you can also feel free to do that. And with that, I'm going to finish my policy. So I'm just going to give it as Kafka IAM policy, and no need to do anything else, and just create our policy. And it should be created about now. Okay, I'm going to click it again. Okay, yeah, it's done. So we are going to create a role that includes this policy. So I'm just going to do that and click on AWS services, click on EC2, because we are going to be attaching the role to our EC2. And add permissions is where you have to mention our newly created IAM policy. This should load anytime now. Yeah, okay, so this is our IAM policy which we created, and I'm going to click on next. And a role, again, I'm just going to mention it as Kafka IAM role, and I'm not going to edit the description, and I'm just going to click on create role. And okay, we're creating the role. Yeah, it's done, we created it. So I'm going to go back to my EC2, and I'm going to click on networking. No, I think it's security manage. No, I think it's net securities. Okay, yeah, security. Yeah, okay, modify IAM role, and I'm going to click on the IAM role we created, sorry. And yeah, so now we can see under IAM role, we are having Kafka IAM role, which we just created. So with that, our authentication mechanism is mostly complete. So now I guess all we have to do is go to MSK and search for MSK and create our MSK cluster. I'm going to open this on a new tab and wait for it to finish loading. Yeah, create cluster. I'm going to go for a custom create. I'm going to name my cluster MSK Kafka. Okay, that is fine. Kafka cluster, and this is going to be provision, not serverless. And the version we downloaded 3.3.2, and I'm going to go for a T3. This is not recommended for production. This is just for demo purposes. So I'm using only 2 zones and 1 broker per zone, and 1 gigabit of storage, and that's it. So the VPC is going to be the default VPC, and I'm going to be using the default subnets that is available within the VPC in regions 1A and 1B. And the security group, I'm going to use the same security group that I use for my EC2. This is not necessarily the case. It can be a different security group as well, but for the demo purpose, I'm going to be using the one that I use with my EC2. And make sure that IAM is selected, and encryption not going to change anything, and basic monitoring, and that's it, not going to change anything. And I guess everything is done, so we can just review what we have done and just click on create cluster. So this process actually takes some time, about 20 to 30 minutes. It says 15, but in my case it usually takes 20 to 30 minutes. So we are just going to wait till our cluster is being created. So in the meantime, I can quickly show you how the Kafka installation works. So I'm going to go into my directory, and I'm going to go inside the binary directory. Here you see there are multiple shell files, and I'm going to be using only the Kafka topics, the Kafka producers, and the Kafka consumers. So these are the only 3 SH files that we are currently concerned about. We are not going to be using anything other than that in this particular demo. So we use Kafka topics to create new Kafka topic to write to. So the command to create a new Kafka topic goes something like we have to use the SH file and we have to use the option create and topic, and we have to specify the name of the topic. So for almost all commands, we have to specify this option called the bootstrap server, where we have to specify the name of the server, which we currently don't have it yet. We will be getting that once our MSK creation is complete. Now to produce and consume, we are again going to be using different SH files, which is Kafka console producer for produce. So again, Kafka console producer, and we are going to specify the topic which we created above, and again we are going to specify the bootstrap server, which we will get after MSK creation. And now to consume, we are going to give the same command. Instead, is just a small difference is that we have to use the Kafka console consumer instead of Kafka console producer. And again, the topic is going to be Kafka topic, and the bootstrap server is going to be something that we get after MSK cluster is created. Okay. So a small change for console consumer is we have to go and add a new option called from beginning, so that we get all the topics and not just the latest ones which are incoming. Okay, so I guess that's pretty much it. So there are few other changes that I have to make. I will show them later on. So now I'm just going to go inside my config, and so here you can see the client properties which we created. So now we have to reference that client properties into these commands which we created. So in order to do that, there is a different command for all three. And for Kafka topics, it goes something like command config, and we have to mention the path, which is configs slash client properties, client dot properties. And for Kafka produce, it is going to be something like producer config, and for consume, it is going to be something called consumer config. So I'm going to change this to producer.config, and I'm going to change this into consumer.config. Okay, good. And the only thing that is needed is the bootstrap servers. So we are going to wait for that till our MSK is being created. So now in order for you to check if the properties and configs are correct, what we can do is we can go and we can invoke this command with the help option, and here it spits out the list of options that is available. And if we can just scroll down to check, where is it? Yes, so producer.config. So you can just make sure if the command which we are passing is actually correct. Okay, so that's what we've done here. So this should work without any issues. Okay, so I am done with the command line consoles, and now it's created. That's good news. So now we have to run these commands, but before we do that, we need to get the bootstrap servers. Made a mistake here. Okay, we have to get the bootstrap servers. So I'm going to go inside view client information, and we have we have two, because we have created two brokers in two availability zones. So I'm just going to copy the first one. It doesn't matter if you copy just one or both, it should work in either case. So now since we have done that, we are going to copy and we have to paste the command, and with this our topic must be created. The name of our topic in this case is Kafka topic, and I don't know why it's taking time. I'm pretty sure I have not made any errors. Yeah, it's created. So Kafka topic is created. Now we are going to produce and we are going to be consuming this at the same time. So in order to show you clearly, I'm going to create two commands, like two split screens. And now here we have to add the class path variable. Remember that we exported once again. So I'm going to log into my SSH, and I'm going to again go back to my jar file, and I'm going back to my home directory, and I'm going to export the jar file again under the class path variable. So we have to do this for each command line we pop up. So or if you don't want to do that, you can directly add it to the bash profile path. Okay, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to copy the producer command, and the left hand side is going to be my producer, and I'm going to copy the console consumer to the right hand, and okay, So this, okay, I have to navigate to the Kafka directory. That's my bad. Okay, so cd Kafka, and yeah, so now I guess it should work. And okay, so clearly did not work. So did I miss something? From beginning. Okay, I pretty sure there's a typo in from beginning. So let me just go back and correct this. Okay, beginning. Okay, now everything is good. Okay, I'm just going to copy the command once again, and I'm going to clear and paste. Okay, I guess the consumer is active. So the producer, if whatever I type in this producer is should be reflected in our consumer. And yeah, so as we can see, I typed hello and followed by world, and now on the right we are getting hello world. So this is basically how Kafka works, and on the left hand side is a producer and the right hand side is a consumer. So any topic, any event that is produced in this topic will also be shown on the consumer side. So that's it. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.